Don't get me wrong. I remember this from the movie Gung Ho. Remember Gung Ho with Michael Keaton? I remember this was in Gung Ho.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Oh, really? But it kind of got back in my brain because we're watching the show on Netflix called The Tourist. Is anybody else watching that?
No.
It's Jamie Dornan, and it's a kind of a...
There's so many shows.
I know.
You tell me about a show you're watching all the time, and then I'll be like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then
you forget about it, yeah.
I forget about it, and then I just watch Cheers. And again, I don't watch a lot of TV. I'm home like one night a week. Usually I'll watch Cavs games if that's what's on.
Yeah, I get an hour of TV a night, and so we usually. But The Tourist they just started the second season. It's kind of this former criminal has amnesia or whatever. But there's a scene where these dudes are trying to run him down in a van, and they're blasting this song out of the windows. But mid '80s, the Pretenders were on their last legs. Boy, Chrissie Hynde had lost half of her band to drug overdoses, and then her drummer she fired because he
wasn't doing enough drugs.
Completely lost it. Well, it's her and three Brits, right? So, I mean, by the mid-'80s, she had to put basically an entirely new band together. But they had some big hits, boy. And Pretenders have announced, I don't know who's in the band now with her, but the founding members, half of them are dead. But she's doing a show in Akron. They're going on tour. They're doing some European dates, I think opening for the Foo Fighters. But Chrissie Hynde, of course, Akron, Ohio's favorite daughter, is coming back. So in addition, she's not playing Cleveland. You know, Pretenders will do New York and Boston and D.C. and Cincinnati and Chicago, but they're going to play the Goodyear Theater in Akron on the 23rd of July. So if you are a Pretenders fan.
I haven't seen a concert there yet. I'm excited.
At the Goodyear Theater?
Yeah, I've seen some comedy shows there, but I haven't seen a concert, but I'm going to see Ben Folds there in June, and I'm excited to see that.
Is that the Ben Folds 5?
No, it's Ben Folds, just him.
Oh. The Ben Folds 1?
It's the Ben Folds Paper Airplane Request Tour.
I see.
So everybody writes down their request, and they put it on a paper airplane, and they counts. It goes 1, 2, 3, and then everybody throws their paper airplane at the stage, and then he just walks through and picks up different ones and plays.
Oh, so it's not like you only get your song in the set list if you're close enough to the stage to get it up there. Like you got to be in the first 3 rows.
I mean, everybody gets. You got to make a good paper airplane. I'll be practicing.
But he will walk through the crowd and grab them?
Yeah, he walks through the stage.
Grab them?
Yeah, as they hit the stage. Most paper airplanes, I mean, the Goodyear Theater is not gigantic. I think you could get it to the stage from if you know how to make a good paper airplane.
But I'm thinking most venues, you're in the cheap seats, you're not going to get an airplane up to the stage.
Not the venues that Ben Folds is playing.
Oh, really? All right.
He's a mid-level venue kind of guy.
Again, I've never been to the Goodyear Theater. So
2,000 seats is about what he does. So
okay.
That's about what the Goodyear Theater is.
Yeah. But anyway, an evening with
the
Pretenders will hit the Goodyear Theater on July the 23rd. Those will be on sale this Friday at 10 o'clock. So if you are a Pretenders fan, keep that in mind. Chrissie Hynde, I'll say it, still foxy. I don't know what to tell you. She's a ball breaker. She had that vegetarian, vegan restaurant there for a while. But she'll be coming back home to Akron, Ohio on July the 23rd. I think our own Mary Santora has returned to the program.
Yeah. I got here at 2:30, but I didn't want to just jump in. Because I was like, you don't know I'm here.
That's
all
right.
The audience doesn't know I'm here.
She
so
took the scenic route getting to work today.
I'm such a moron, dude. You ever do things where you're like, I'm the dumbest person who's ever lived.
All the time. I've made a career out of it.
Oh, my God. I have 2 sets tonight, okay? I have a set at 8 o'clock in Manhattan. I have a set at 9 o'clock. Well, around closer to 10. The show starts at 9 in Brooklyn, all right? So I was like, typically if I have a show in Brooklyn, I will drive my car there, park it in Brooklyn, take the train to work because it's an hour-and-a-half train ride from Brooklyn to Astoria or a 20-minute car ride. So I'm like, at the end of the night, it's nice to have my car to be able to drive home 20 minutes. That was my plan today.
It's not going to be 20 minutes.
No.
At night, when it's all cleared out, yeah.
Yes, it will. From Astoria to Brooklyn, it's never taken me more than like 30, 35 minutes.
Oh, really? Even at night? It's that dead?
Yes.
Well, at night it's dead, yeah. During the day, it's probably a little bit longer.
I didn't think it was that dead even at night.
No, Astoria to Brooklyn is not bad at all.
Okay.
But the train, again, I've talked about this before, there's no train that goes between the two. You have to go all the way through Manhattan, so it takes over an hour. So I'm on my way to Brooklyn this morning. I left my house at 12:15 p.m., okay? It's an hour and 45 minutes to get to work. I left my house at 12:15. I'm driving. I'm like, you know what? if I just drive to Manhattan and I park there, that'll save me the subway trip from Manhattan to Brooklyn, and then I'll already have my car. So it'll be faster, and I'll save $3. Look at me. I'm the smartest man alive.
But then she
Until
wasn't.
you get into Manhattan. And normally, by where I was is like the Lower East Side by the Stand. Not bad. Parking is not bad over there. But today, it was horrible. There was nothing anywhere. There was like, I mean, I'm circling for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks, and I can't find anything. And now I'm like starting to creep up on time. Now it's like 1 o'clock. I'm like, all right, I have an hour. It's a 20-minute train ride. As long as I can park by 1:30, I'll be fine. Now it's 1:15. I'm still not finding anything. I was like, you know what? Let me go up to the next train stop, which is on 23rd Street. Okay, so the numbers go in order. We work on 55th Street in Manhattan. The Stand is on 16th Street, okay? So I'm like, the next train stop is 23rd. Let me go up by 23rd and see if I can find anything. Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but the further you get into Manhattan, the less parking there is. And the more
I heard about that. Did you know it's expensive there in New York?
The more it says things like commercial vehicles only. But I see Honda Civics parked in the commercial vehicles only. So I'm like, there's no way that car is a commercial vehicle.
Uber.
So I looked at, and that was the other thing. It's like it could be or loading or unloading. So I looked
Amazon.
it up. And the parking fee for parking in a commercial spot is $115. So I was like, I'm not going to risk it. I'll just go up one more train stop, which is 34th. That'll put me closer to work. It's only 1:30. I still have a half hour. Well, what happens between 34th Street and 55th Street is Herald Square and Times Square are both between those two. So your girl is gridlocked in the most touristy part of the town. It was trash. I mean, 100%. Again, I'm an idiot. This is my fault because now I'm like, well, now I'm stuck. I'm on 6th Street in the middle of town. I cannot go anywhere. There is no pivoting. There is no other route. At this point, I have to just drive the rest of the way to work. And so those 20 blocks took me another 40 minutes. I finally get to our street, 55th Street, again, from 16th. So I had to drive 40 blocks. Guess how much parking is?
$22.
$45.
Hey.
I thought it was going to be more than that, honestly.
But you saved that 3 on the subway.
Do you get what I mean? That I'm such an idiot. I'm so friggin' dumb that I was like, ooh, let me save $3.
Well, now
and
you
some
know.
time.
Now you know. You probably already knew, but now you really know.
I was really
You have
banking
first-hand knowledge.
because I was like, I've never had a problem. Even when I drive in during the day.
Did you at least get Spider-Man's autograph?
No.
Oh.
No Elmo, no Spider-Man, no Princess Cinderella with boobies out.
No
nothing.
She-Ra. All right. It is cold, I guess.
I'm just so annoyed when I make very stupid decisions like this because I'm like, why?
As long as you keep them to a minimum. Everybody's making stupid decisions. It's when they start to overtake your good ones that you got to worry. You just got to keep the ratio.
Do you understand? That
Yeah.
$3.20 was what I risked this entire afternoon for.
Mm-hmm.
I could save $3 and shave 20 minutes off my drive time. And it ended up taking me 2 hours and 15 minutes and $45. And I think I might have to tip these people. I've never experienced this. This is a parking
You have to
garage
drop
where
it off.
Yes, you
Yeah.
pull in
Oh,
and drop,
boy.
like it's like valet.
Yeah.
You pull in and drop your car off, and then they go park it. And the guy's like, "When are you going to be back?" And I was like, "Probably around 6:30." And then he goes, "Okay, that'll be $45." I was like, "I pay now?" And he goes, "No, that's the 4-hour rate. You pay when you come back." I was like, "Oh, perfect. This is fantastic." So that's why
He's
I'm
like,
late.
okay, just make sure you hit the ATM before you show back up.
That's why I'm late, and I'm sorry, and I feel very.
No, I
dumb,
thought I
and
know
I'm
what's
just-
going on there.
I'm
What I
losing.
want to know is who was the smoking goat.
I think you can guess.
Oh, was it Chappelle?
It was.
Oh, okay. It wasn't
Yeah.
Dice.
It wasn't Dice. It
Ah,
was
okay.
Chappelle.
Yeah.
And there's 2 more Smoking Goat headliner unannounced shows tonight.
Him too?
I don't know.
Ah,
It's a secret. They used the same picture as yesterday.
that same silhouette.
Yeah, it's not been a great 2 days. I went and had another set last night at Gotham Comedy Club, and it's a produced show, which means it's not booked by the club, right? It's produced. Other group books it, and then this can be kind of seen as like an audition. So if you do really well, I could get passed. I'm not passed at Gotham yet. So that's more spots, that's more money, whatever.
You got to get some of that Mark Norman faking viral moments money.
I know, right? So I get to Gotham. I'm about to go next on stage, and like the girl on stage is finishing up, and I'm going next, and they go, "Hey, George Wallace is coming." So we're going to bump you. I was like off the show? And they're like, no, but we don't know how long he's going to do. Don't know if you guys are familiar with George Wallace. Certified murderer. I mean, the guy's been doing comedy 40 years. Like, he's
like one of Seinfeld's inner circle.
He's so good.
He's so good. I opened for him 15 years ago, and I can't imagine he's gotten worse. Like, he's so good.
No, we had him on the show a couple of years ago, and he was fantastic, man. He doesn't miss a step.
So fun. He's so fast.
Killer. Yeah, and that's the thing.
So fast.
He was doing a lot of crowd work. And when you've been doing it that long, he has bits about everything. So it didn't matter where the people said they were from. He had a bit for it. He had a bit about being from Colorado. He had a very funny bit about being from Atlanta. Like, so he's playing with it. He's just murdering. And I'm standing there. I'm like, he couldn't have gotten here 3 minutes later so that I could be on stage and not have to follow this. I went up.
He still rock the Kangol hats?
He's got the hat. He had on the purple, like, he was decked out. Purple jacket, like a shiny purple jacket with the little... What are the little tiny scarves called?
He's got stage clothes on, like an ascot.
Is that the pocket scarf?
Oh, pocket square.
Yeah. He's a little pocket scarf that matched his shoes. Like, he looked great. He's murdering. He's doing so great. He did like 25 minutes. And I'm like, this is not going to go how I wanted it to go. So I went up and I did the best that I could. I mean, he just annihilated for a half hour. And I think I had a pretty good set. I did not bomb. I would admit it if I bombed. I did not bomb. But it went fine. It was like a 6.5 out of 10, 7 out of 10 set. After someone like that kills, it's hard to get him back. I got him back by the end. I closed on an applause break. It was great. So after my set, I go up to the manager and I go, hey, I just moved to New York. I was, hoping to maybe get some future work here. I was wondering if maybe I could get your email. And he kind of looked at me and he goes, why don't you send me a link to one of your clips? And I was like, oh. He goes, yeah, I mean, I saw your set in there and it was good, but yeah, send me a link and I'll take a look at it.
What, he needed further evidence that he wanted to make sure you weren't a one-hit wonder.
I don't know what it was, but it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good for him to be like, I just watched you and not impressed. So maybe send me better jokes.
Yeah, I want to make sure you didn't just get lucky.
I mean,
that's fair.
Man.
I mean, that's fair.
But it wasn't.
Everybody can have a great set.
But my set, I thought it was the opposite because I didn't destroy like George Wallace destroyed, and I did fine following George Wallace. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so he's like, yeah, send me over a clip and I'll send it to the booker and we'll see if we'll see what we can do. And I was like, oh no, that doesn't feel good. And then the friggin' train, the one that I normally take home, was out of service, so I had to take another one that got me it took an hour to get home last night. And then I'm an idiot again, and I watched TikToks on the Appalachian Mountains until 3 a.m.
Appalachian, Mary.
Appalachian, whatever. Appalachian.
Don't let the people in Appalachia hear you say that.
However you want to say it. Apparently, they're haunted, like crazy.
The people or the mountains?
Stuff. Well, that's the thing. There's feral people who live there that are literally referred to as feral people that have grown up mountain people, like deliverance people.
Yeah.
They live there, and then there's this whole thing called skinwalkers of demons. God, man, I was down a rabbit hole.
Well, people have a lot of time on their hands to conjure up all kinds of nonsense.
Yeah, and I'm watching all these videos, and then the next thing I know, it's 3 a.m. and I can't fall asleep. So I was like, oh my God, I'm so anxious because I'm so nervous about these skinwalkers. So I turned my lights on and
you do some breathing exercises, homie.
It's been a rough 24 hours.
The shorts have gotten so long, another inch in its pants.
That's what my nephew with pants hanging off his ass said something to me. I wanted to kick his ass, but I didn't know who it was. I had no idea.
Yeah, George Wallace's nephew, baggy pants, wanted to kick his ass, didn't know where his ass was. Hell.
So it's been a weird.
So watching Skinwalker videos till 3 a.m., that's a good remedy for
not feeling great
ending
about
up
comedy.
bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Well, that's the thing. I woke up at 10:30 and I was pretty tired because after that I still wasn't ready to go to sleep yet. So I watched a Disney movie. I watched Mulan to kind of buffer,
cleanse the palate,
to sleep, right? So I probably didn't fall asleep till after 4, and then woke up kind of groggy, got ready, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drive. I'm gonna drive in. I'm gonna save myself a little time later because I am tired. I'm dragging ass
and
today.
money. Don't forget the $3 you're gonna save.
Don't forget that $3.
Was there good people watching at least from you driving through literally downtown Manhattan?
I was so aggravated that I wasn't really paying much attention.
Yeah, you can't really pay
people.
attention to the people that are walking around when you're driving in Manhattan. Because,
but you're going 5 miles per hour or
but
at a
you're
standstill.
you're stopping and starting. You're
Yes.
stopping and starting.
I'm
it's
trying not to rear end the car in front of me.
Right.
It's really what I was focused on.
I was gonna say, because I think about like sometimes when we leave out of here, when we have like a Cavs game or there's something at Romo Fijo, I'm in traffic for maybe like 5-10 minutes, and there's some good people watching, like people asking for money and then white people running away, or like, someone pops a balloon and someone cries, someone running out in the middle of the street. And that's just Cleveland. I can only imagine what it's like in
Well, really,
New
I
York.
wasn't 100% certain where I was like, okay, I'm down by 16th. I'll go up to 23rd. Not that big of a deal. Okay, I'll go up. The next stop's 34th. And then when I get up to 34th, you start to see the scenery changing. I'm like, oh, no. Like, too many buildings, too many people walking. I see no cars parked. And then I was like, oh, that's it. We're screwed. There's no going back. It's too late now. So I was more or less trying to kind of get my bearings at the same time as just MFing myself for driving my car today. Like, you idiot. What?
You got to watch
that.
that Skinwalker Ranch documentary on Netflix.
So Brian and I tried to watch that a couple years ago, but we ended up shutting it off. It was like super, super slow.
It's super
and
slow.
weird, and like a lot of interviews that didn't seem to have any kind of point to them.
Well, yeah, it's because they take something that's kind of all made up, and then they have to stretch it out over 8 or 10 episodes. So they bring in all these kind of academia-adjacent people to talk about, UFOs and Navajo shamans and blah, blah, blah.
You know what I fell asleep watching last night?
Don't tell me.
R. Kelly.
No.
Oh, the new R. Kelly.
There's a new one?
Quiet on Set, the Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah, with Dan
story.
Schneider.
I
Yeah.
fell asleep, so I don't know where I left off, but like I saw at least the first two or definitely the first two, but maybe the first 3 episodes. And honestly, it's not surprising.
Well, because
at
years
by
ago,
any
weren't they
means.
accusing Dan Schneider of like doing stuff?
Sure,
but now he's basically like, I was just a dick to everybody.
But again, I feel like there is no way, whether it's Nickelodeon or Disney or any of these things that deal with small kids. They were talking about that Nickelodeon, or not Nickelodeon show, the Netflix show with the girls dancing. Like, it's all gross. It's all pervy. Like, keep your kids out of show business. If you can't have, power, if you can't be the parent, you're literally giving your kid to the industry. And
yeah, but again, what do you do if your kid wants to perform? You hear all these stories
kids
about
want a lot of things. They don't know what's good for them. The parents are supposed to.
Understood. I'm just saying, if you are at a point where you're like, we're going to see if our kid can do this, it's just adults in charge. It's not like one of those gummy bears commercials where the CEO is a 5-year-old. I mean, you're going to be around adults and hope that this Dan Schneider guy, for people who don't know who he is, he was an actor for a long time. He was in Head of the Class, which was a sitcom. He was Ricky in Better Off Dead.
Yep.
And so he was an actor, and then he became like the grand poobah over at Nickelodeon in the 90s and early aughts. And then all of these kids came forward and were like, Dan Schneider was kind of a perv, and like Drake Bell got fingered or whatever. And then Boogie from iCarly interviewed him. And he was like, yeah, I got, some things that...
Watching over the past 2 nights, very difficult, facing my past behaviors, some of which are embarrassing and that I regret, and I definitely owe some people a pretty strong apology. No writer should ever feel uncomfortable in any writer's room, ever, period, the end, no excuses. Most TV writers, comedy writers have been in writers' rooms, and they are aware that a lot of times there are inappropriate jokes made and inappropriate topics come up. But the fact that I participated in that, especially when I was leading the room, it embarrasses me. I shouldn't have done it. That was wrong. That was because I was an inexperienced producer. I was immature. Wouldn't happen today, but I'm just really sorry it happened. All these jokes that the show covered over the past 2 nights was written for a kid audience because kids thought they were funny and only funny. Now, we have some adults looking back at them 20 years later, and they're looking at them and they're saying, I don't think that's appropriate for a kid show. I have no problem with that. If that's how anyone feels, let's cut those jokes out of the show, just like I would have done 25 years ago. I cut it.
But
that was the hook with Nickelodeon, it wasn't kids programming for... it didn't feel like PBS cartoons.
But Disney did the same thing. How many times did you hear that there were adult jokes in Disney movies, and kids would go back and watch them and be like, oh, it does spell out sex.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
Disney
like,
still had to protect the Disney brand. Nickelodeon came out in like the mid-'70s, and I think it was Canadian maybe, or they got a lot of Canadian kids. But Nickelodeon had a whole different vibe. By the time they started doing You Can't Do That on television and they're doing Double Dare and all that kind of stuff, like that was like it became kind of a tween network where those kids were like, yeah, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm not a grown up, but I want stuff where I can kind of go, oh, I know what they mean.
They had Teen Nick. Teen Nick was lit. I used to love Teen Nick. Zoe 101, True Jackson VP. Like, shut up! Like this was my childhood. Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was like Nick at Night. Like those were like scary ones. Like
that was Snick. What that was.
Okay.
Saturday Night
Snick.
Nick, yeah.
And then they had Drake and Josh, which I really loved. Yvette Nicole Brown, who is a WCIP and University Akron alum, she was on that show. That was when I was introduced to her. So, like, I know these shows well. So it's just weird going back and reviewing these. I'm like, ugh. All the foot fetish stuff and like the
all the
sexual
foot stuff
innuendo.
is weird. Like the foot stuff is real weird.
And I didn't even think about it as a kid,
Yeah.
but now I'm like, ugh.
Dan Schneider looks weird now too because he lost some weight. He's got like the brown dyed
They
goatee
always go
and
with the beard. To make
yeah,
him
it's
look
weird.
older.
The Nickelodeon, the documentary about Nickelodeon is really entertaining though. It's called The Orange Years. It was on Hulu. It's probably still on Hulu. It's a couple years old, I think, but that one's like really fun to watch.
Why is it on Disney?
What's that?
It's on Hulu, which is owned by Disney. Like,
Yeah,
why
but
don't
at
they
the
have it on-
time, I don't know. Everybody owns everybody else now.
I was like,
so
what's the Nickelodeon app?
Hulu and Disney
Paramount.
just merged. So it's on everything. You know, when they drop these documentaries, they're on everything. They're on Amazon. They're on, you know.
I just find that funny. Like, would Disney allow Nickelodeon to tell Disney's story?
Well, you pay.
Well,
you
they're
pay
more
licensing.
proprietary, so like they're not going to, but it might be an unauthorized.
Oh,
You love that, right, Poundcake? Because that means they're going to tell the dirt if it's unauthorized.
You know, I never-
not authorized by anyone. No one has authorized this.
I never watched the Saved by the Bell documentary, which that was supposed to be like like a bombshell. No, because Screech told it before he died. But like, I wanted to watch that. I don't know what to watch it on. I don't know where to find it. I have to look it up.
The Saved by the Bell documentary.
Yeah, it's like the whatever they call it, but unverified, uncensored, like bombshell.
Maybe Screech died because he told the story.
Probably. He was getting stabbed by hookers and all types of stuff. So it's possible. He made a
Well,
sex tape.
let those among us who have never been stabbed by a hooker cast the first stone. I got to take a break. I want those Sonic Temple passes. Boy, that's a time. It's 4 days, mid-May, down in Columbus. Every metal and hard rock band you can think of is pretty much playing Sonic Temple. So I'll have tickets for you. Weekend GA.